Hi guys, welcome back to the Value Investor Show. Today I want to talk about a stock that everyone knows about, has seen before, and you probably have heard about it recently. But the big question that everyone asks is this a bargain opportunity or is it a value trap? Here's what you need to know about Adobe. So for today, we'll cover firstly Adobe's recent stock performance, secondly, the key financials for the company, the bear case and major risks of Adobe, the competitive landscape, including Figma, and my intrinsic value for the company, and final thoughts. So to begin with, Adobe is now down 50% from its all-time highs to roughly $341 per share, and it's very close to the 2022 crash. For those of you that don't know, Adobe is a massive software as a service business that has applications like Photoshop, After Effects, Premiere Pro, that many editors, but also creative directors and other professions are using on a daily basis. And the company is now trading at levels we'll probably haven't seen for many years. Firstly, before we understand or look into why this stock has been underperforming, I think it's important to understand the financials behind Adobe. Adobe is a financial powerhouse, a very strong company. They have been able to increase their revenues year on year over the last decade. I think that's very impressive. You rarely see lines or charts that just keep going up and up and up year on year on year. Similarly, with net margin and net income, this is a company that was operating at 10 to 15% net operating income back in 2015, and since then they have been able to increase their net profit margins and net income, and they're now operating at almost 30% net profit margin. This also stems from the fact that Adobe is a software company. Their cost of doing business is very low. Mostly expenses like R&D, product improvements, staff expenses, etc. But again, as I said, from a revenue and income perspective, this is a very attractive company. Growing revenues, growing net income, and very high profit margins. How can one dispute how attractive this is? But now let's look at some ratios that are also very important to understand on how this business operates. If we look from a different perspective, does it paint a different picture? Before we dive into the rest of the video, I want to thank today's sponsor, Fiscal AI. If you're serious about investing, this platform is a game changer. It gives you beautiful, clear graphs with all the KPIs you care about in absolute numbers and percentage changes. It has powerful forecasting tools so that you can project performance and even calculate a company's intrinsic value. It has industry benchmarks so you know exactly how a business stacks up, and it has detailed equity research papers with everything you need. Above all that, it's all integrated with AI, so you can leverage AI in every part of your analysis. This is honestly a no-brainer platform. I use it every single day, and for a limited time you can get 15% off using my link in the description and pinned comment below. Don't miss it, sign up now. If we look at revenue per share, it has been increasing. That's not just because revenue has been increasing, but also because the number of shares outstanding have been decreasing heavily. Adobe has been buying shares very aggressively, and I'll show you exactly what I mean in just a bit. Now, secondly, if we look at net debt, starting from the bottom here, the company basically has minimal debt. The net debt to EBITDA ratio is essentially almost zero. It's a debt-free business that operates with very high margins. So as I said, financially, this is a very attractive and sound business. Now, if we look at other valuations which could provide some better understanding on what has been happening, for example, if we look at the price to sales ratio, Adobe is now for the first time in a decade trading at the lowest price to sales ratio it has ever traded at 6.4. In my opinion, it has never been an attractive company to invest in because, in my perspective, it used to be overvalued in the past. But now, with the price to sales ratio that low, it starts to ring some alarm bells on whether this could be a potential investment. Now, if we look at the price to book ratio, it's not at the lowest it has ever been, but it's still an attractive price to book ratio of 13. And also, if we look at free cash flow per share, it is at an all-time high right now. Free cash flow has been increasing year on year at almost a 25% rate, which further validates that this is a company not growing only from an operating standpoint, but also from a free cash flow standpoint. And free cash flow per share is a very valuable metric because it shows how much free cash flow is available for each share outstanding. And this is a strong indicator that a company could grow dividends or buy more share and increase shareholder value if they wish to. So here's when it gets interesting. Adobe has been buying shares extremely aggressively over the last few years. So as you guys can see, from 2015 onwards, they started buying millions dollars of worth of shares each year. But now over the last year or so, they have been buying many billions worth every year. For example, for the first half of 2025, so that's Q1 and Q2 of 2025, they have bought almost 25 billion worth of shares. And in fact, it's so aggressive that for me, it raises a very important question. Is Adobe making the right move? I do not doubt that it's good to buy back shares sometimes, return shareholder value in any way and any means you can. But when you're spending 25 billion for the first half of a year on buybacks, I have to ask myself, is 25 billion not enough to potentially acquire another company that could help Adobe expand their product offerings either vertically or horizontally and enter new ventures rather than boost their own stock price? And to be fair, I do think that it's a red flag when companies are buying that much shares instead of reinvesting it externally, making some acquisitions, try to expand their product offerings. And I'm sure it's good to buy your own stock when aren't other opportunities in the market. But in my eyes, there clearly are. I mean, if you look, for example, at Figma, a company that just IPO'd last week and skyrocketed to an enormous valuation, or even Canva, which is a very strong competitor but is still private. These companies pose an existential threat to Adobe and could have been acquired rather than Adobe spending 25 billion on buybacks. The double effect of buybacks is the following. Firstly, it boosts the stock price and metrics like, for example, revenue per share. But despite that, we're now seeing a stock price that has plummeted. In fact, the company is now trading at the lowest P/E ratio it has ever traded at since the last 10 years. We can see that the stock price is now 50% off its all-time high back in 2021 when it was trading at roughly $671 per share and is now trading at $341 per share, while the company has also been buying back shares very aggressively. Now, when it comes to growth expectations for the future and what the future holds for Adobe, the consensus from analysts from Wall Street is that revenue and earnings are set to increase. They're still set to grow, however, and this is a big however, it is expected that Adobe will grow at a slower pace than it has been in the past. In fact, most analysts expect revenue to grow at roughly 9 to 10%. Similarly, for earnings before interest and tax, analysts do expect it to increase at low double-digit growth or even at 9 to 10% growth, which is still positive that the company is growing. But the thing is, it is growing at a slower pace than it has been in the past, and we'll also dive into the bear case. Now, following the financials, I want us to go through the bear case, the key risks that the company faces. The first one being maturity. Adobe has a very mature model in a sense that it has established a model that has worked for a very long time and it has grown exponentially, but it's now seeing slowing momentum in its Creative Cloud business, which has experienced elevated growth due to that transition. And as it transitions further and as it matures further, I think it will be harder to grow. And I think that's evident from the fact that it grows, but it grows at a slower pace. The second risk is competition. Competition is increasingly becoming better and more common, as for example in the digital experience segment, which is, while is very promising, is very competitive. Like you have companies like Canva, like Figma, and you have others as well. The third one is acquisition failures. The company has built this segment largely through acquisitions, raising the possibility of disruption from inadequate integration efforts. and the risk of overpaying for large deals like Magento and Marketo. And so those acquisitions that the company has made, they haven't been as successful, and there is a risk of failing to integrating those acquisitions into Adobe's business model. Now, the fourth and probably the largest risk is AI could essentially disrupt the industry. It could disrupt the business as a whole. And while Adobe is actively integrating AI into its offerings, and that's what a lot of bulls say, they say that Adobe's AI is extremely good. It also has a side effect, which is that while it makes offerings better, it also could, in fact, obviate the need for Creative Cloud and essentially erase all the jobs and become that much better than, for example, people manually editing a picture or manually editing a video, and essentially AI could do it for you. So there is no need for Adobe to exist anymore. Now this takes me to a competitor spotlight, Figma, which I'm sure everyone have heard about. Figma skyrocketed on its first day of trading. Figma went public on the 31st of July, and they had a very successful IPO, skyrocketing 250% in its first day of offering, and now has a market cap of 38 billion compared to 144 billion of Adobe. Now, does it make financial sense as a value investor? Well, no, it doesn't. And that's because Figma's revenue, although they have been growing at the 47% year on year, the company is yet to be profitable, and also the company just has less than 1 billion in revenue, at least by 2025. But what makes Figma so attractive for investors, for Wall Street, is the fact that it has a counter positioning to the norm. For example, it has a web-based collaborative approach which directly challenges the more established desktop-based software model that many designers have been used to, like Adobe. This different approach allowed Figma to capture a new consumer segment of the design market, which is focused on real-time collaboration and better accessibility. It also has better network effects. Figma benefits hugely from network effects as the value of the platform increases with more users. The more designers, the more teams will use Figma, which makes it easier to collaborate, to share designs, and to provide impact, which attracts even more users to the platform. So there's a lot of hype about what Figma could bring into the table in the future. But for me, this is a non-profitable company. It's very early in its stage, so it's not an attractive investment in any way possible. Now, in terms of competition, Adobe is facing increased competition beyond Figma, which is probably why many investors are extremely cautious for Adobe, just like myself. And many of you might know some of Adobe's competitors like Autodesk, Corel, Canva, Sketch, Figma, etc. However, for me, there are other competitors which are more important. And the biggest competitor of all is not a company, private or public, it's AI. I do think that AI in the future could wipe out creative directors completely. And then you have the non-traditional competitors like the one we just mentioned, but you have other competitors that many people are not thinking about. And that's your Googles, that's your OpenAIs, your Groks, your X's. Because as those companies are developing stronger AI models, stronger LLMs, they're just becoming so good at essentially becoming your own personal creative director. They can do whatever you ask them to at a single command. And I'm sure you guys have tested this before, but they are increasingly becoming better and better. And these companies have very large user bases. So it could easily erase the need for Adobe or the need for creative directors completely. And I think that's the biggest competitor for Adobe. It's not necessarily your Canvas, your Sketches, your Figmas, but it could also be your Geminis, your ChatGPTs, your Groks. And that takes me to Adobe's intrinsic value. With margin of safety, my intrinsic value for Adobe is $500. And if we put 50% margin on safety, which I do believe we need to because the company does have very strong threats, to some extent, I think that with margin of safety, the intrinsic value of the firm is $250. I'm not buying right now, but I am watching very closely in case it drops sub 300 levels. As we said, the company now trades at $340, which is attractive, but for me, it doesn't provide enough margin of safety given the risks. And as I said, I do view competition and AI risk as the key catalyst for failure for the future if it comes to there. When I invest, I do plan to hold the stock for at least 5 to 10 years. So the big question for me is, will Adobe still be the number one platform to use for designs, for edits in 5 to 10 years? And I do not have a clear answer on that, which is why I'm a bit cautious on entering Adobe. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Shout out to donations. Follow me on X for daily updates at the Value Invest Show. And I'll see you guys on the next video.